Attack the enemy! Victory is ours!
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back for some more highest tier 9.0 British Tanks gameplay. This is a battle from 17 December, and earlier in the night on 17 December, we had a bit of a discussion going on in my Discord about the merits, or lack thereof, of the mobility of the highest tier British tank lineup, which I've been driving a lot lately because I'm grinding for the Striker, the final British tank that I've got to go in my entire British tree until whatever the French upgrade. I'm narrating this on the 18th of December, and the French 1.75 update is going to drop tomorrow. So whatever, things could change for the British. I don't know what, if anything is being added. I didn't have a chance to get on the dev server, but so we've got a conquest map, and I'm trying to make it to the A point here, and in the Chieftain Mark 10 with very little upgrades. I believe I've got parts done at this point, and I'm nearly done with horizontal turret drive, and I think that's it. Of course, I'm also driving up a hill, which is not really good for just about any tank in this game, but it's so much the worse for British tanks that just don't have any kind of speed or horsepower. Now, in my opinion, mobility is the biggest, most important part of the meta right now in highest tier tanks, at least. Armor is a thing, for certain, but if you have the mobility to get around someone's armor, then you make their armor irrelevant. At any rate, you can see I'm trying to get to the A point, and while I did stop for a moment to aim at someone who was marked there, you can see how much farther behind I am and how little chance I have of making it to the A point unless I had a British-only team. And that's the one thing about the British, there is no fast tank at all anywhere near the highest battle ratings. Every other nation has got something that's fast. You got the MBT-70s, the KPZ-70s, the BMP-1, the Object 906, the T-64 is fast, the what else is there? Anyway, and they're just, I haven't actually gotten up to the highest tier of Japan yet, but so I don't know what happened there with that shot, except it didn't hit anybody. So one of the arguments that was presented to me was that the armor on the highest tier British tanks makes them fantastic, and there's no reason I should be complaining about them because of the armor. And then I take a hit in my Chieftain Mark 10 there from a Rakuten Jagdpanzer II and get killed out. So anyway, didn't get enough points to make a score, couldn't get to the A point to get a capture, and only had enough points to come back in my Falcon, which also is not the world's fastest tank either, and really has a little bit of trouble getting moving as well. So we'll skip ahead just a slight bit there because I ran and grabbed a drink as I reloaded or respawned back in the Falcon. But it actually ended up being a good thing because right as I got back to my chair and sat back down, one of the two ZSU-23-4s in front of me gets lit up and killed, and it was from a Leopard that's right here at our spawn. Now, while I don't think that the Falcon has got the mobility to really get anywhere fast, it at least did have enough mobility to get to this Leopard, who was preoccupied with the other ZSU-23-4, and I was actually able to get around him and get some very close range shots into him and kill him. So in that case, it had enough mobility, but still, the Falcon is not a very mobile vehicle either. And most of the high-tier SPAA is not for most nations, but it doesn't help when you've got the Falcon that can barely move either. It's fast enough, and the guns are pretty good on it, but still, I mean, thankfully, it is a relatively small vehicle, even though it's a kind of a tall profile for the vehicle chassis, but I have killed quite a few of my share of Leopards with it, I will say that. So if you can get in alongside a Leopard with the API rounds, you can wreak havoc on them pretty quickly. So there is that. It does have that going for it. It ended up being a good thing that I killed that Leopard, because that would give me enough spawn points to come back in another tank after I get destroyed in the Falcon, which, spoiler alert, is going to happen. So the enemy team made it into the A point and capped it out, and I'm trying to get back up there with my Falcon to take it back and regain our ticket advantage. I will say I do trust the Falcon in an anti-tank role with the 30 cal. I don't have the APDS rounds for it yet, so I'm looking forward to that, but I'm pretty confident with the APIT rounds that I do have for it in taking out most vehicles at around this battle rating. So I haven't, you can't kill everything with it. You're not going to get a T10 from the front or anything, but if you can get in alongside most tanks in this battle rating here, you can actually do a pretty good job with the Falcon. So it is not very mobile, as you can see here. It averages about the middle tier of mid-teens in miles per hour generally in most terrain, even on flat terrain. But at least its guns are good, so it does have that going for it. And that's the biggest thing that I feel like the British tanks have for them is their guns. Which, even better, when the HESH was one-shot, kill everything it saw, I had no problems with the British tanks, but now that HESH got severely nerfed, British tanks have not been a pleasure for me to play whatsoever. It's been a chore and a chore grinding them, which is why I've been going so slowly with my British tanks. I'm having more fun with my Japanese tanks than with my British tanks. Of course, I have the whole reproduction now, which makes a big difference, but... Anyway, I got back into the capture here and hid away from the Leopard back there that was shooting at everyone. And recaptured the point. And you can hear and see someone get marked right next to me, and lo and behold, there's an MPT-70 or KPZ-70 rather, sorry, that didn't realize just how close I was, and I was able to get some good shots into his ammo and get a detonation there, so that was kind of funny. They do have their moments. It's not like I absolutely just never have any luck or any good battles with the highest tier British tanks. That's not true. But I have more frustrations, and the frustrations are magnified by them happening over and over again than I have good battles with them, so... I'm not exactly sure what I critted on that Horton there, but it wasn't good enough to kill him, but apparently it was enough to damage him a bit and allow a teammate in an SBA to finish him off, which will happen in just a second. And yes, I realize I'm in first place, and I'm complaining about the mobility of the tanks that I'm driving, but still, I could be in farther in first place if I'd have been able to get that first capture and or been able to move into a better position before I started taking hits with the Chieftain Mark 10, so... At any rate, there's the assist on the Horton 229, as an M163 lit him up. Volume of fire does help, that's for sure. So we kind of have a little bit of a tiny perimeter here holding the A point and waiting for the inevitable counterattack. And we kind of start losing guys here to a backup KPZ-70 coming up. Now I can tell where he is, and I'm trying to move forward to get to a position, because I'm certainly confident that I can take on a KPZ-70 in my Falcon, no problem. I've only got 156 rounds left, so it's a little bit of a concern, because I'm going to go through those, obviously, 2 at a time. But I'm trying to move up to where I can hear and see this KPZ-70 getting lit up here down the road, and hopefully get some shots inside of him and finish him off, and remove that threat for my team. And then he gets killed by a T-64-71, so no big deal. Enemy eliminated is enemy eliminated, and that's fine. So now that I'm back here and hidden in these trees, I'm looking for any other KPZ-70s or Leopards that might be, because I was pretty sure I'd heard something back here. So I'm just kind of hanging out with the ammo I have left, because I don't really want to run out and have to run back and reload. Because the M163, the Flak Panzer Gepard, the Falcon, I assume the ZSU-23-4, although I have it and have not actually used it in a battle yet, I don't think. They all take so long to reload at a capture point once you run out of ammo. And then once you get the ammo into the vehicle, you then have to actually reload it, so it's twice as long. Because most of these vehicles, for me at least, my loaders take a minute to reload, which is an interminable amount of time in War Thunder, and then another minute to actually reload the ammo, so it's like 2 minutes of sitting there unable to fire, waiting for your vehicle to reload. And that's just forever. Even if you only wait the first, minute or so to capture, or to regain your ammo inside the capture point, and then leave the capture point and reload while you're moving, that's such a long time to be able to not be able to fire. Did catch this Rakuten Jagdpanzer II here, and actually get a little bit of revenge on the guy who killed me in my Chieftain Mark II, or Mark 10 rather. Rakuten Jagdpanzer II is what I had in my brain there. That actually didn't take very much ammo, thankfully, and then I moved on back to the A point, which the enemy is now taking, to see if I can go and deal with whatever it was that's capturing the point. So thankfully, I was able to find out where the Rakuten Jagdpanzer was, but unfortunately, it was because he had killed a teammate. So it doesn't really help us, but at least I took him out and didn't let him move in from the south on our capture point. Now, as you can see here, we're down to just 3 of us left on the team. Myself, another SPAA, and an M50 Antos, who also just got knocked out right there. And I'm down to just 132 rounds of ammo, which is starting to get iffy. And just as I detect that Leopard coming up into the opening, I get blasted out by him and couldn't quite swing the guns. I don't think I would have done much to him from the front anyways. So I respawned in my Chieftain Mark V, primarily because it has a talisman, and I'm trying to grind as much as I possibly can towards the striker. And here comes the story again of tank that's just too slow for the way that these battles go. These tanks were designed to fight behind prepared positions, hull down, and use all their turret armor, and you don't get to do that. If there was a mode where you could do that, I mean, sure, the Tank Assault Arcade, you can almost do that, but you really can't, because you're going to get hit from like 15 different directions, and you're getting concentrated and focus fired by AI that shoot about 9 shots at you every couple seconds. But still, regardless. Somehow I survived these bombs here, although our poor M551 did not, and at least the Ju-88 that dropped him killed himself. But again, going back up this hill again, just nowhere near the power that you need to be mobile enough to get up there. If I encounter any enemies here, I've got 0 power to maneuver and do anything about it. And I mean, part of it, I guess, is probably the sound pack, which I'm not using any add-on sounds or anything, so these are the default game sounds. But the engines just sound like they're laboring terribly. Now, Quellian right up in front of me at the point lets me see where he is, and I'm able to take him out, no problem. Like I said, the guns are fine, really. I mean, I don't have the APF SDS for the Chieftain Mark 10. I'm greatly looking forward to it for the extra sloped armor performance against things like T-64s, but the APDS on all the Chieftains is fine, and HESH used to be magical, and now it's okay. But I mean, again, I'm rolling up here in the Chieftain Mark III, just barely able to make it into the cap. And I already know that there's multiple enemies left, and even though I've got smoke out, it's probably not going to be enough to do me any good. I'm waiting for my artillery to reload and firing it on the, trying to deny them the fast road to come down from up at the, where the C point generally, or the other capture point is, up at the church there. And sitting in the church, or sitting in the cap, which I know is just going to take far, far, far too long. Sure enough, I take a plink shot, and before I can get the stupid tank to rotate in place, I lose my breach, I lose my gunner, I lose my loader.
Another zone captured.
And that's going to be it. There is no way that he won't get a killing shot into me before I'm able to reload. And I actually managed to get the capture here, but there's no way that I'm going to survive and hold it. And I've got an M163 with me, and it would be real nice if he moved up and gave them something else to shoot at, and or did some extra shooting at them, but that's also not going to happen, and I get caught from behind. by a Leopard. So I had a choice here between the Conqueror, the FV4005, or the Swingfire, and went with the Conqueror because it's at least got the best gun. The FV4005 is no faster than the Conqueror is, but the gun is extremely unreliable lately. I've hit all kinds of things with the 183mm HESH rounds from point-blank range, and I don't get a kill on them, and it just makes you want to walk away from the game when that happens in the FV4005, because there's no way you're going to reload in time to get a second shot at someone, and the thing has 0 armor, so that's that. Now you can see the massive amount of speed that I can build up in the Conqueror here, and there's no possibility of making it back up to the A point in time to do anything about it. No way I'm going to stop them from capping. And by the time I'm able to even get anywhere near the A point, they're all going to be moved beyond it and up in a defensive position, and the Conqueror just has no chance of making it there to the A point. Not even in time to stop the ticket bleed at this point. And this is just, when I talk about how much I hate driving the highest tier British tanks, this is the kind of thing I mean. They do not have the mobility that I feel like they need to possess to be equal or competitive within the highest tier meta right now. They just don't have it. So I got a pretty good hit into that Leopard and just decided to just bypass him because I'm trying to make it to the A point, but you can see by the ticket bleed and the rate of ticket loss that I'm still not going to make it in time. Just all the British tanks in the world beyond the Comet just do not have the speed to make it anywhere useful in any amount of time. And I even made it up into the cap here, but it didn't start decapping for some reason, and I got killed anyway, so it didn't matter. And just, British tanks are just frustrating for me personally to drive at highest tier, and those are 3 great examples of why. Anyway, I still ended up in first place. I still got almost 7,000 research, but I was getting close to getting the tracks for the Chieftain Mark V, which is nice because I got a real big boost for it shortly thereafter when I finished it up a couple battles later. But playing highest tier British tanks is a chore for me rather than something I look forward to, and the grind is just something I'm doing because I can make videos out of it, and that's it. That's it for today's video. I know it's a bit of a downer, but happy Boxing Day, everybody. British video on Boxing Day, you can't beat that. See you guys tomorrow for more War Thunder or World of Warships. I don't actually remember which. If it's Wednesday, it's World of Warships. Anyway, take care, everyone.